And we're live. Welcome to the Team Tank Podcast. We are here to recap a great night in tanking. The Lakers were able to fend off the Jazz, who tried with all their might to give away a crap game. And then at the same time, the Knicks played the Minnesota Timberwolves, and that's a win-win for the Lakers as well. So good job, Lakers, not screwing up a great opportunity. We have with us tonight, we have a new face. We have Craig Freeman, who is here from Clippers Central. We decided, Harrison, we're going to play a little two-on-two here between the Lakers fans and the Clippers fans. So how are you doing, Craig?
Yeah, I'm doing good. I'll try to talk so you guys can understand me. Accent isn't too overwhelming, is it?
I don't know if you guys noticed, but he has a slight accent to him. He is down under right now. He actually had to fight a kangaroo to attend the podcast tonight, which I know scares the living shit out of Justin. Justin, how are you doing?
I'm all right. I don't want to talk kangaroos out of
Hey,
here, man.
Justin, there's a kangaroo behind you in the dark room.
Shut up, man.
I just know there have been a couple tweet threads that have taken place about Justin's fear of kangaroos. Whether or not it's warranted, I don't think it is. But
it's not, but it's. I don't know why. Like, I have one nightmare like 10 years ago and terrified of kangaroos now.
Your fear of kangaroos is like Byron Scott's fear of updating his playbook. We also have Harrison, who manned the tweets tonight for Silver Screen and Roll. What did you think of the game from your end?
It was actually the field goal percentages of the team were pretty god-awful in the first half, but it was like back and forth. It was fun to watch. Tarek Black had some good dunks. Jordan Clarkson, he showed like good vision. He had 8 assists. I enjoyed watching it.
I did not. I was like borderline depressed in the first half. It was like 30.
You were just tweeting out pictures of dogs. Like, use your own account for that.
He was tweeting out pictures of dogs and cats.
Like, you turned into a 15-year-old girl. Like,
the whole game was so sad. Like, you watch these two teams that struggle so mightily to score. And I've been watching college basketball all day, and like the whole day I'm talking about how much better the pro game is than the college game. But in a pro game, you had a 35-32 or whatever score, or I think it was 36-33 was the halftime score, and it's like, hey, that was exactly what we've been watching all day today. So I do not regret those puppy pictures. Those are freaking adorable. That one little white thing, like, I'm not sure that's not real.
It wasn't real. It couldn't be real.
That couldn't be real. That thing was incredible.
It looked like a doll.
It looked like a chia pet or something. Sorry, Lynn fans. Game aside, Harrison talked about Jordan Clarkson's performance tonight. 8-to-1 assist-to-turnover ratio, which I love watching. He's playing smart. I know Ben Rosales pointed out a few times the decisions he's making in transition continue to get better. And then, of course, Byron after the game, I don't know, did you see this, Harrison? Byron after the game mentioned that he's proud of Clarkson's continued progress, but he still plans on benching him.
I did not see that he confirmed that, but it doesn't surprise me. I did see that he was saying, or he told Mike Trudell reported during the third or fourth quarter, he was saying, like, Clarkson's still out here because Byron says, he's like, this young kid's composed. I really trust his composure. It's like, you didn't a month ago. Like, the first half of the season, he wasn't even playing. But I was tweeting, I think, from the account, like, Byron's hilarious. He has like this 6'5" rookie with like actual, like, he's athletic, he has tangible NBA skills, and he only plays him because he's forced to after Ronnie Price's corpse finally decayed. Like,
Craig, what is it like? I always wonder from the outside looking in, is it the garbage fire that it appears from the inside looking out?
Yes. The Lakers and the Knicks are just the worst two teams to have to sit through a whole game off now. And like, I watched the start of the season because even when Kobe was just chucking shots, at least it was entertaining. But this is just once Jordan Clarkson's off the floor, there's really nothing to watch.
It really isn't. It really isn't. And this is coming from somebody who's paid attention to the Clippers for a while. They were a garbage fire of their own. How does this compare to those dark days that you guys lived through, Justin?
I actually think your guys' situation might be worse. Simply because, like, at least, like, from the Clipper standpoint, at least we got to see a first-round pick play. And obviously, there was the Julius Randle thing, so you haven't really seen him outside of, what was it, like 8 minutes or something?
Yeah, but you had that happen with Blake, though, his first year.
Yeah, but even with them, we still had Eric Gordon and DeAndre Jordan. So, like, at least we still had some tangible young guys. I mean, it sucked with Blake, but it was what it was. At least we had young guys. Like, at least, you guys have Jordan Clarkson, but it's like, Byron Scott apparently hates young people, so, I mean, I personally believe Byron Scott's probably a senile old bastard deep at heart, so. He's like stuck in the 60s.
Read Brian Shaw's books on how to relate to millennials.
He and Monty Williams.
I just everything he says just flies in the face of actual logic. I guess Craig, again from the outside looking in, because right now, I mean, basically the Laker fans, we have like nothing going for us right now. Like you said, we have Clarkson and literally nothing else going for us, and we're gonna buy into Clarkson because of that. So, what are your impressions of Clarkson without having that bias going on?
He's been pretty good. He's been a lot better than I thought he'd be. I thought he'd be a rotation player anyway. But he came into the league at 23, and really, if you're not giving something to the team in your first year, once you're 23, you're really not going to stick in the NBA. So I think maybe you're going a bit over the top because he is 23. He's 4 years older than Dante Exum, who we went up against today. So the expectation is he's good right away. So you've got to put his numbers in context. He's probably not going to improve as much as a younger rookie would.
Yeah, I would agree with that, and also say that I'm a little sad right now. but I'll say this though, like there's improvement that you expect. There's like natural progression that you expect from a rookie, but there's also progression that you expect from not being coached by Byron Scott. So, like I think we might not like as good as Clarkson has looked this year. He could have actually looked even better if he had anything resembling not a jackass as his coach.
What about a pick and roll heavy? What about a pick and roll heavy, high offense, fast-paced attack?
Right.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah, Harrison, your cough sounded oddly familiar. I think it sounded like Pringles. Was that what you just coughed?
Yeah, something like that.
Just go look at my header on Twitter, and then you'll see.
So we watched one struggling, not quite young team in the Lakers play. I think one of the most dynamic young cores in the NBA, in the Utah Jazz, where you have Gordon Hayward, who appears to be living up to that crazy contract we all laughed at initially. Rudy Gobert, who is from fucking Mars. Like you have all these great guys. Like we were talking briefly before the podcast, and how great Gobert has been. You tend to forget how long Derek Favors is, and he's only 23. Like I feel like he was like in that Deron Williams trade 73 years ago. Where do you see the Jazz? If not next year, I actually think they could contend for the playoffs next year. But if not next year, when do you see them in legitimate contention, Justin?
2 years. I think you got to give them 2 years just because of natural progression of players. Like Favors in 2 years will be 25, so he'll be in his prime, or at least bordering on prime years. Same thing for Hayward. Gobert in 2 years can add stuff. Like right now he's not even really an offensive threat, but it doesn't matter because of what he does defensively. Like literally he scares the crap out of everybody. Just by standing there.
He really does.
And you mentioned Favors and how long he is. Yeah, he's a great rim protector himself. So you have two elite rim protectors on the same team, and they're both young. Like the starting lineup they threw out there tonight probably averaged like 22 years old, probably.
Yeah, with Rodney Hood playing more minutes now too.
Yeah, and there's going to be bumps in the road just because their offense isn't exactly pretty. It's basically, can Gordon Hayward lead us every night? But then you look on the bench, and I like what they did with Trey Burke. I didn't think Burke would sustain himself in this league as a starting point guard. Whereas now off the bench, he's facing bench guards and able to really produce in spurts, like he did tonight because Jeremy Lin was guarding him. And I think that Utah just needs another pick or a pick and someone in free agency. Like, we've mentioned, I think, Chris Middleton to them before, and that's someone.
Scary. That'd be so scary.
And well, the other thing you got to factor in, they're going to get Alec Burks back.
Yeah, that's a good point. What do you think, Craig? You're like we mentioned before. You're from Australia. Dante Exum is from Australia. He's probably the greatest export you guys have had since Crocodile Dundee. So what are your thoughts of his time so far in the NBA?
First of all, Andrew Bogut's been pretty good too.
Good point.
And what about Joe Ingles? He was the best Australian on the court today.
3 threes.
Yeah. He just looks like he plays in a local YMCA league. Like I can't buy into that guy.
I can't believe the Clippers let him go. I was so happy. I'd already ordered a jersey, an Ingles Clippers jersey, and then they cut him.
Oh,
that's sad.
His picture on ESPN is still him in a Clippers jersey, which is kind of funny.
So yeah, what do you think? I mean, there was some talk about Exum as like a Kobe kind of guy, and we pumped the brakes there. But what do you think his ceiling might be?
I still think he'll be an all-star, just given his talent. You can see on the court what he can do. He's really long. He's athletic as hell. He can handle the ball. He can pass. His decision-making isn't great, but his shooting stroke's better than I thought it would be. Especially, like, he's shooting low 30s now, but his stroke looks good. That normally will develop into a decent shooter.
Mm-hmm.
And he looks like he can take over a game with his skills. But it's going to take a couple of years for him to actually put it together.
Yeah, the only thing, Harrison, you can chime in here too, but the only thing that I kind of worry about with Exum is slight tentativeness. So like it's kind of a fine line you got to walk between, all right, I'm going to make smart basketball moves every single play, and appearing like I don't want to attack every single play. And I think he's on the positive side of that, but I think he sways back and forth with it. What do you think, Harrison?
I mean, I haven't honestly watched him enough this year to have like a really definitive, like strong opinion. But when I was watching him tonight, I don't know, it did look like the moment was kind of big for him, and he just, maybe it's just going back and forth between being a starter and being on the bench and that kind of thing. And Clarkson had a really good game against him last time. Maybe that was in his head a little bit. I don't know. He just didn't look, like you said, he looked very tentative and like a little afraid.
And if he does look tentative, he's 18 years old, so that's perfectly fine.
Sure
he's playing against men for the first time.
Yeah.
That's like
he didn't even play college, so he's coming from another step below everyone else who's a rookie.
Right. So there's a lot going on there. You just kind of, there's some things you got to watch out for there. But just overall, I would agree with Justin and say that 2 years is a realistic time frame to expect them to really vie for the playoffs, even in this insane Western Conference. Which is saying something.
You have to remember, he is 19. Like, Exum really is just 19. I think in this day and age, if guys don't produce right away and they're young, you kind of automatically go, oh, they're never going to improve. But it's like they're 19.
Yeah.
What was it? I read something the other day where it was, I want to say that, was it like Rudy Gobert added like 15 pounds from last offseason to this offseason? So it's like, Exum needs a full offseason of like weight training and just, NBA training rooms and, guys coaching him. Like, you can see the difference Quinn Snyder's made on the team already.
And then, that's the other thing is he's going from, it's like you said, he didn't play in college, so he's going from basically like high school scouting reports and like preparation styles and all that stuff to NBA level things. And like that's a bit, I don't know if any of you played high school basketball, but like the scouting report is basically like, oh, like it's like in the second quarter after the coach has seen the team for one quarter, he's like, oh, you guys need to close out on this guy and just try harder, and basically like Byron Scott coaching, just like, hey guys, we need to get our effort up and execute, and like I'm gonna fold my arms over here and look tough, but and then he's going to like an actual NBA coach that's like giving him information. He probably has more information and like things like that in his head than he's ever had before. And so I think anyone's going to look a little tentative because you're going to be afraid to make a mistake if you have that much knowledge.
And while all of this is going on, he's halfway across the freaking world, right?
Yeah.
Like, we can't forget the human element to it as well, where you've just dropped this kid, this 19-year-old kid, in a completely different continent, and, you know, expected him to do stuff. And it's Utah, which is even worse. Like, poor kid.
The one thing I like that they did is they did go get Joe Ingles kind of as like a mentor for him.
Mm-hmm.
Almost like, like so much as like a travel buddy, like someone he can like hang out with that's his own kind of person. And the other thing with Exum to keep in mind is like the guy was a top 5 pick basically just off 2 games or like 1 game in a tournament. Like he got drafted high because of what he did in the under 18 tournament, and then what he did in the Jordan Brand game or something like that, where USA versus World, where he tore apart the USA team. Yeah, so it's like you know he has talent. It's just it's gonna take him some time. I just think people need to be patient.
I've been impressed with his defense though. Like I didn't think he'd be that
exactly
right away. Him and Gobert together are going to be scary.
He's so long. He's so freaking long.
They remind me of Syracuse when Syracuse ran like that 2-3 zone, but obviously way better defensively than Syracuse because they run a man scheme. But like, cause remember Syracuse defense in college was always like they'd have the longest guys ever to defend in the zone, just so that
like
no one.
Hakeem Warwick or something back in the day.
Yeah, just so that you couldn't get easy looks, and that's Utah, but everywhere.
It makes it really hard to get an entry pass when your point guard's that long.
Well, what was it? Like, I want to say it was Lin who tried a swing pass, and like it just got deflected because there was like 3 hands in the lane. And normally against anybody else, you complete that pass, except maybe Milwaukee.
Lin also threw a pass off the bottom of the backboard tonight, so let's not give him too much credit.
Whereas Jordan Clarkson might have had an 8 assist to 1 turnover ratio, Jeremy Lin had an 8 shot to 1 make ratio. So it balanced out. It balanced out tonight.
Yeah, where's that one guy? Like, we got to get that guy on the show who says that if you stop Lin, you stop the Lakers. Like, if that guy stops saying stuff, he helps Twitter.
I mean, he was right tonight.
All right, so, you know, I would say we wrapped, or we put a nail in that Jazz future. They're a bright future. They're extremely bright. They do have to add a couple pieces, though. Chris Middleton would be phenomenal on that team. Next thing I want to talk about, speaking of futures, like I said before, we're playing 2-on-2 here. So Harrison and I, we both write for Lakers blogs, and Justin and Craig both are Clipper-centric. Craig being the editor-in-chief of Clipper Central. Where do you see the Clippers in 5 years? You guys. Actually, we'll do it reverse so that we can be less biased. So I'll ask you guys, where do you guys see the Lakers in 5 years, and then we'll answer where we think we see the Clippers in 5.
You can go first, Craig.
I was just about to say you go first, Justin.
All right, I'll go first. That's fine. Do you want like the record, or do you want like whether or not they're in the playoffs, or
how about the pieces? You know, like what the roster might actually look like realistically, and then if you want to talk about record and how that team would compete, we can go there too.
It's hard to say if they'll still have Clarkson. Like, I think they would, just because they can match a restricted free agent offer on him, like in a couple years. They should still have Julius Randle, barring anything serious. Like, if his leg issue becomes something serious, they can always decline the option, which you never know. Like, worse, like craziers happen, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, like leg issues can go either way.
Yeah, they're a big deal.
That's why we're all freaking out over the Kevin Durant thing.
Yeah, I remember. Well, that's a topic for another time. I was just gonna say, because when I first heard he hurt his foot, like those issues never go away. No, especially that bone. Like that bone's such a pivotal bone in the foot.
Mm-hmm.
But Nick Young probably still be on the well. He's got a free agent contract running out like 4 years or something. But you know, it's going to be a lot of young guys. They just need to build. Like through the draft is so important for every team. Unless you're like the Lakers, 7 years ago, where you could deal picks for players like Pau Gasol. Somehow Javaris Crittenton and Kwame Brown equaled Pau Gasol, but you got to find tangible assets, and I think as far as the Lakers are concerned, they have them in draft picks coming up, outside of what they have to give to Phoenix and Orlando. So where I see them, they're still going to be struggling unless Clarkson, in the future, really evolves into this great player and Randall becomes what people think he might be, and who, if they keep their pick this year and that player turns out, like it's a Towns or Okafor or Russell or Moutier, if either one of them turns out to be great, they could be a playoff team. It's just, especially with the cap booming, they could get free agents with those guys. It's hard to pin the Lakers just because of there aren't a lot of players that will be around after next year.
Yeah, I mean, you're looking at almost a complete rebuild again this offseason, right? Where like coming into this year, it was like, well, a lot of the guys we were looking at last year aren't going to be on the team, and it's going to be the same deal this year. Like we can only hope this is the last we've seen of Wesley Johnson.
Like, Wes is going to make his way onto the team one more time.
What's that?
He'll make his way onto the team for another 4 years and then retire.
If he plays 4 more years, he locks up worst Laker all time.
Yeah, I'd have to agree.
Worse than Kwame?
I'm sorry, Wes.
No, Kwame brought over Pau Gasol. Like, I can't hate on that guy.
And Kwame has the wedding cake story where he threw a wedding cake through a window or something like that, which is like all-time great blogging moment.
I'm surprised he didn't have it slit.
Brian Cook. Like the worst Laker of all time, in my opinion, is Brian Cook, and like I'll fight anybody who disagrees with me on that. He was terrible.
He was not good.
Harrison, where do you see the Clippers in 5 years from now?
I think, sorry guys, but I think that they're honestly going to be starting their decline at that point. I don't see like Chris Paul's in 5 years. Chris Paul's going to be 34. And like with his knee issues, like you just don't know. Like you don't know what's going to happen. And like even if like he's fine until then, he's still going to be 34. And so 34-year-old point guards generally start to have a bit of a drop off. Blake is he's going to be a little older. Who knows I think they probably keep DeAndre Jordan this offseason, but you don't know. And then honestly, just Doc's personnel moves to fill in around the margins just don't give me a lot of confidence that they're going to be able to keep this thing going once the talent starts to die down. If he's going to be able to nail those low picks and do make the free agent acquisitions that you need to make if you want to keep kind of a roster churning and keep it competitive.
I think those are all viable points. The first one, the biggest one in my opinion, being Chris Paul. 34-year-old point guard with knee problems is scary for any team. But I'll say this, though. His game will probably age pretty well.
Yeah. I mean, he's just not good. He's their whole engine right now. And so I was just saying, even if he ages well, it's still going to be tough.
And then you got to factor in Matt Barnes is already
take over.
Go ahead.
Lucky Austin Rivers is there to take over from Chris Paul once he retires.
He's going to get a statue.
Hey, he'll be 27. That's prime years right there. That's entering his prime.
Craig, did you have anything to add to Justin's scouting report of the Lakers 5 years from now, half a decade from now?
I guess I'm a bit higher on him than Justin, but it's such a 50-50. If they keep their pick this year and Randall turns out as good as everyone thinks he will be, and Clarkson can keep developing, and then they sign one good free agent, all of a sudden they're a contender again. If they miss out on the pick this year or Randall doesn't develop, well, then they're stuffed for the next 5 years because they've got no picks.
Yeah.
So this pick's pretty huge.
It is hard to have nuance and perspective with this team because the situation goes from bright to dire, just like that, with the bounce of a ping pong ball. I would say as far as the Clippers go, again, the Chris Paul thing is one thing. I actually think Blake Griffin's game is going to age a lot better than people think because of how good he is in the low post. I just don't think he gets anywhere near the credit he should for how skilled he actually is. He's a great passer off that first pass of a pick and roll. The one that I'm more worried about as far as aging goes is DeAndre Jordan. But 5 years from now, I don't think is far enough in advance to where we're really talking about somebody feeling the ides of or the ire of time on his knees. But everything that DeAndre does is predicated on being able to jump out of a gym. There's not a single thing that DeAndre does that you would say, yeah, like he's skilled in that department. Maybe passing,
being tall.
Yeah, but like the passing is like an extreme stretch. I'm saying comparatively speaking, his post moves are awkward. His free throws are, you guys know really well about that stuff. And I don't see that. I guess his stroke is good enough where it could improve, but we'll see. And Harrison hit the nail on the head there, talking about Doc Rivers as a GM. And part of it, though, I'll say this. Part of it has to do with the lack of any type of flexibility Doc Rivers has had as their GM. So, I'll be interested to see, as the cap increases and he has a little bit more resources to work with, I'd like to see what he does with those pieces there. But, he has shown that he's impatient with moves that he makes, and he's wired like a coach. I made this point when I went on the radio, I think it was last weekend, that coaches are just wired differently than GMs. GMs are building for the future while they're also trying to win now, whereas a coach is hardwired. We have to win right now. I've seen this guy play. They're going to be more likely to fall for biases. That's why you see Nate Robinson and Hedo Turkoglu on the team. Until he deals with that, that's something that might hamstring the franchise. Now the kind of more interesting question is, which team has a better record in 5 years? Best case scenario, Clippers or Lakers? Justin, what do you think?
That's tough because it's so far in the future, but I'll go with Clippers just because, I think Chris and Blake and DeAndre will all still be there, and even a 30-ish Blake and a 30-ish DeAndre will be able to, pretty much put wins together. And same thing with Chris at 34 years old, he'll still be able to put. The biggest issue for me with the Clippers going forward in 5 years is who the hell is the small forward and shooting guard? Because Redick's 30. He's not going to move like this 5 years from now, and Barnes is 34, so there's nobody really there beyond him. So it's 5 years from now, their record could still be a 45 to 50 win team. They just might not have the pieces around the three main guys that gets them anywhere closer to where they are now.
Do they have their own first next year, Craig?
They have their first next year. Yeah, they have to because of the rule. You can't trade multiple. Yep.
Yeah.
Gerald Dudley will be a really nice starter for 4 years.
Yeah, they don't have their pick this year or in 2017, so it's 2016 and 2018 they have theirs.
Yeah, that's right. That was the Doc Rivers trade, right?
2015 was the Doc trade. 2017 is the Dudley trade.
Oof.
But at least the Dudley trade's top 14 protected. So if the team somehow if the team goes in the crap, or at least they get the pick, So.
Hey, then you guys, we'll just go ahead and lend you over our Team Tank account. You guys can go ahead.
Don't delete it. Just come off the Lakers logo.
Craig, where do you see the Lakers record-wise compared to the Clippers? Do you see a scenario where the Lakers potentially pass them up?
If DeAndre leaves, and
it would something devastating would have to happen.
The Lakers have to hit. The Lakers have to hit on everything they do, whereas the Clippers are the safe bet because even if they don't do anything, they're still going to have more wins. The Lakers have to nail the draft pick. They have to nail a free agent signing. They have to develop Randall and Clarkson. It's going to go. Everything's going to go perfect for the Lakers to pass the Clippers by then.
They have to hire a not terrible coach. That'd be nice. That'd be a nice thing.
To go back to your Doc Rivers GM thing, I think the first time we'll see what Doc Rivers can do with basically wiggle room is 2017.
Yep.
Because
I
that's
think
when Paul, like Paul and Griffin will be free agents because they can opt out. So like there's going to be some room where they can maybe possibly put guys together.
The first year the cap goes up, if they just keep DJ, Chris, Blake, Redick, and Wilcox on his rookie deal, they'll have $10 million in cap space.
Hmm.
The first year they do it.
Cap space, man. Like that's like the what is that?
The Holy Grail.
The eight greatest letters in any combination that an NBA fan can have is cap space.
I want to buy a jersey that says cap space just so that I can show it to those like old reporters that are like, no kids out there is buying a jersey that says cap space. Like they need to get players on the team.
But it's got
finality.
What number do you
It's got to be a
get?
76ers jersey. It has to be a 76ers jersey though.
You buy that, and I'll buy a draft pick jersey or a top 5 draft pick jersey, and then we'll just walk around together.
Yeah.
All right, so that'll do the basketball elements of this podcast. We're gonna go ahead and sign off for this one, and we're gonna restart another one. The topic for that one is if we had to recreate the Avengers, as Justin is wearing a Captain America shirt. Is that what I see? Yep, that's Captain America. So if we were to see an all-NBA Avengers, and we're kind of sort of biting accidentally off of Harrison's The Tank Vengers that he came up with, there will be no Yellow Widow, but you know we might see something else out
Just
there.
did that live.
Oh.
Gosh, all the hands go immediately to here. Power Rangers. All right, we'll talk to you guys later.